Hello, everyone. My name is Reid Hepler. I am the Digital Initiatives and OER, or Open Educational Resources, Librarian for the College of Southern Idaho Library. Although this video is intended for faculty and staff of CSI and members of the Idaho educational community, anyone can view it. I hope that I can help people in many different fields and settings learn how to use digital initiatives and open educational resources and related materials. They are very versatile and can be used even outside of the classroom. A little about me. I have a bachelor's degree in history and a certificate in museum studies from Utah State University. I also have minors in religious studies and anthropology. And then I went on to receive a master's degree in library and information sciences with emphases in digital curation and archives management from Indiana University. Currently, I'm going to get a second master's from the Instructional Design and Technology program at Idaho State University. So what exactly are digital initiatives? Well, I help with databases, libguides, ebooks, online journals, and OER items. I'm not doing interlibrary loan or cataloging or searching physical holdings. That would be Miranda and Dave's department. Dave is the reference librarian for the entire library, and I am somewhat the reference librarian for digital items. I'm essentially here to help with anything that originates or is accessible fully online. And OER is a major component of that, but there are also open access journals which are similar to, but not exactly the same as open educational resources. So that brings up another topic. What exactly are open educational resources? So open educational resources are materials that kind of fit. Here on the left, they fit in this little box over here. So we have all educational materials, we have affordable materials, and then a little sliver of affordable materials are free for subscribers and affiliated users. And these are materials that may seem to be free, but because they have a subscription cost, they're not technically free. There's still a hidden cost associated with them. And then below that, we have free for everybody, open to share, and open educational resources are open to remix and adapt, which means they can change the open educational resources, update them. More on that a little bit later, but they have all these abilities available, plus the remix and adapt availability. So there are two major facets that are required for open educational resources. One, they have to have an open license. They have to have either a public domain license or a Creative Commons Zero license, either one of those, or one of 4 other Creative Commons licenses. They have to be openly licensed. And the second one is they have to be available to a wide range of people. They have to be accessible. They have to be convertible to a wide range of formats easily. And that one kind of is a more subjective guideline, but nevertheless, they must be freely available and repurposable, if you will. OERs are teaching, learning, and research materials that reside in the public domain or have been released under an open license, the CC license that I just talked about, and they can be used, repurposed, and disseminated by others. So that is basically what I was talking about they have to be reformatable, they have to be easily convertible. There are 5 major R's or major facets in regards to user abilities in relation to OER. They can retain OER, you can reuse OER, revise, remix, and redistribute. So you can revise an OER by just changing or updating anything inside it. But when you revise it and combine it with other OER materials, or even some open access or copyrighted materials, if you have been granted those rights, that's remixing. Remixing is when you combine 1 or 2 or more OER materials. So over here, we have Wiley's 5 R's. David Wiley is the person who kind of came up with these abilities, and Creative Commons licensing. In this chart, I'm grateful to Abby Elder for her OER starter kit. She made a chart that shows the different licenses and the abilities, the OER or non-OER abilities. So they have the public domain license, which is your generic, public domain license. And then we have CC attribution or Creative Commons attribution, CC attribution share alike, CC attribution non-commercial, CC attribution non-commercial share alike. These are the OER licenses. And then down here we have non-derivative, the CC attribution non-derivative and CC attribution non-commercial non-derivative. These 2 different licenses. And this means you can change them, but you can't really share them. And for that reason, they're not OER licenses. Options, options, options. So we have Pressbooks Directory, we have Wikimedia Commons. This is mostly helpful for images, LibreText. We have OER Commons, the library, the CSR library catalog. When you look for OER materials, you'll use a service called Search Dynamics, and they typically direct you to OER Commons. So when I make my training on how to use the CSR library catalog, you're probably going to use OER Commons, and there are ways to kind of navigate these different sources, and I'll kind of go externally and show you through some individual external sources as well how you can use these different options, and there are benefits and drawbacks to all of these. What formats of OER materials are available? Well, beginning in the 1990s and the early 2000s, and even in kind of the late 2000s, there were only textbooks available for OER materials, and now many options, many different formats and types exist. We say formats. Formats can mean two different things. The formats over here, formats include textbooks, worksheets, quizzes, project outlines, other ancillary materials that probably could be also referred to as types. And then the other formats are, PDF, text files, videos. That would be another version of formats. So both, textbooks, typically you think of text, and that was originally the first OERs was text, but now we have different formats, as in different file formats, and then also different types. You can take a textbook, you can turn it into a worksheet, and vice versa. So you may already be using OER without knowing. As long as it's easily adaptable, easily changeable into different formats, and it has a Creative Commons license, that is an OER. So don't think that it's going to be a huge change. It could be, but they're easily findable. But chances are you've already used OER in some way or another. How can I help you? I can help you in creating OER. I can help you discover OER, adapt OER, navigate OER copyright regulations. I can help you utilize open access materials that are not OER, but they're similar, and all of the other born digital materials in the library. Just a quick word as to the difference between open access and OER. I had a faculty member who created his own videos. They were really amazing videos, but he didn't want to permit YouTube to have the CC BY license on those videos, which that would basically mean that anybody could take his videos and repurpose them in a way that whether or not he wanted to endorse that, because of the CC BY license, which is one of the more broader, in fact, the most broad license that's not a public domain license, they could use those videos in a way that he didn't endorse. And so he said, I want to know if I can call these videos open educational resources. And technically, you can't. Those would be open access materials because they're free to use, but you can't change them. You can't revise them. You can't necessarily convert them. And I suppose you would be fine if you could convert them. But as far as licensing and the terms, that would be an open access material. And so there's a difference between those two materials, and I'll help you navigate that. I'm always here to help you. And thank you very much for your time, and have a wonderful time with the world of open access materials, open educational materials, and digital materials at the CSI Library. Thank you.